Hey, this is Fairlane with Neon Owl at Ubbi Dubbi.
I'm broken.
Hi, my name is Julie,
And I'm Fairlane.
and you're watching Neon Owl at Ubbi Dubbi. But yeah, thanks for hanging with us, dude.
Of course.
Yeah, so this is day 2 of Ubbi Dubbi.
Yeah.
And you absolutely crushed it out there.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I feel really good, actually. I was happy to see the sun come out, which, I feed off the energy of the sun. So when it was cloudy, I was feeling a little bit, drowsy. And then when the sun came out, my energy woke up, and the rest is history. So,
Yeah, and so, yeah, that's awesome. So, but when the cloud does come out, when the skies are kind of cloudy, how do you kind of hype yourself up? Do you have any preset rituals and things like that?
You turn the booth monitors up.
And
You make the music
energy
louder.
up and-
Yeah, you just listen to it louder.
Okay, cool. So yeah, awesome. Also, I'd love to learn more about kind of how you started. Because so you grew up in Canada,
Yep.
and then I'm curious about the scene there, how that was for you, and
My introduction to the scene was after I moved to Vancouver, Canada, which is on the west coast. It's one of 3 cities that most Americans know about in Canada, so that's kind of the go-to. But I got to start. I was introduced to some of the people that work at the record label Monster Cat, because they have a head office there. And through that, I got to meet some of the electronic artists and see what they were doing, and it kind of sparked up this interest. And I wanted to kind of dive into production a little bit and experiment myself. And so I had a few mentors there that were just teaching me the basics of Ableton and showing me places to get started. It never really turned into a career until I actually won a mix contest anonymously at Monster Cat. They hired me to run their radio show, and that was my first time getting sort of a full-time gig in music. And from there, I just slowly transitioned away as I started releasing my own music. I started playing more shows, and I started actually making, enough money to live off of. And that was kind of, the rest is history. So
that's awesome. So it's kind of one step after another. It's kind of unexpected. It's for fun first.
Accidental, I would say.
Accidental.
Yeah, I have a background in finance and economics, and so that was sort of the original career trajectory, is to go work in finance. There's a lot of big energy companies in Calgary where I used to live with my family. So it was a difficult transition to explain to them that I was going to kind of take the leap and go and be a broke musician for a little while. But I'm very happy that I did.
I'm happy that you did too, kind of following that passion. I mean, life is kind of short, right?
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
So I know you have this EP called V, or Roman numeral 5. It touches upon really raw emotional concepts, very human concepts. So I'm curious about how that came about and conceptualized.
Yeah, so Curtis Kala, the vocalist, was introduced to me over an email thread. They sent me an EP that he was working on. So none of the tracks were available, but it was just to showcase some of the stuff that he was working on. And he's a Canadian musician as well. He actually lives in Kelowna. And he drove out for a weekend to do a session just to see if we would hit it off. And immediately the two of us felt so comfortable together, just talking about, issues in life and things we've dealt with personally. He has an amazing backstory, and so, was just kind of pulling that raw emotion out of him was very interesting. But we did the first song titled Somewhere That I Belong, which is, a little bit of a spin-off of the Linkin Park original, because both of us grew up listening to that band religiously. And so we put that track together, and we banged it out in a day, which doesn't normally happen. Conceptually, it was out after months of fine-tuning it. We got the song to where it is now, but he came forward and was like, hey, I actually had a lot of fun working on that song. Would you be down to maybe do another one? And so he drove out from Kelowna again, and we wrote a second song, which was Afraid of What's Inside. And from there, it just spiraled into a 5-track EP. Just because it was so much fun working together, and there was no pressure or expectation. And I think a lot of the time in music, you deal with this, if you're in the room with somebody, you're expected to create something, versus we were just having fun. And that was sort of a feeling I'd been chasing for a little while. And so when that clicked, it was just we're gonna just go with this. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And as I feel in the beginning you started because you wanted it, you had fun with it.
Yeah.
And gradually, I'm sure as more opportunities rolled in, I'm just wondering how you've managed to kind of balance that component of fun versus kind of call back to that feeling of fun that you had at the beginning. Nowadays, when more things are happening for you.
Well, it's tough because a lot of the time you forget that you are running a business, essentially. whether or not it is fun, like going and playing Ubbi Dubbi was a lot of fun, but it's a business, and you're running a brand, and you're trying to showcase things, and so there's a time when you need to kind of shut up and show up and work, and there's going to be difficult times. Last night I was driving out of Madison, Wisconsin at 1 o'clock in the morning to Chicago, and was in the car like, oh my god, this is very difficult.
Honestly.
But it's like, this is my job, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to understand that part's going to suck, but I'm going to get to Dallas and I'm going to go play a show and I'm going to have a lot of fun. And so you have that balance of both worlds, where it's like you be a professional about certain things and you let yourself have fun with certain things. So.
Yeah, it's a professional kind of like framing as you get to kind of do this rather than like, oh, I have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Very fortunate to get to do this for a living. So.
I love that. And like kind of circling back to your EP and the concepts that you had there, kind of tying back to, mental health and all that. Mental health is very important as like an artist or just in general. So curious, what are some of the things you do to kind of like find balance and like grounding?
Honestly, that was a big reason I started producing in the first place was, there was a lot of jealousy, like especially when I met a lot of these artists at the label, and I saw that was their life. Like, they were earning royalties and they just got to create all day. And at the time I was working at a call center, selling cable and internet packages, because it's just the job I found. But I was like not very happy with where I was at in my life. And so when I first got introduced to the world of production, it was an absolute escape, where like you would lose yourself for 6-7 hours and suddenly it's 4 o'clock in the morning, you have to wake up in 2 hours. But it was like, wow, where did the time go? I wasn't thinking about anything, I wasn't distracted by anything, I wasn't dwelling on anything. It was just in the moment. And so it was really important for me to find that ability to kind of lose myself in the moment. When you spend so much time dwelling on past, future, present,
you're not really living in that point, right? It's kind of like life is in the present.
Life is in the present, yeah. So it's a good opportunity to kind of bring yourself back in. So.
I love that. And kind of also just curious for our producer friends out there, also personally a producer, I'm curious about kind of like your process. Like your songs are very like raw and emotional and human. Like for example, your EP being some of the concepts that you covered. So I'm curious, what's your process overall?
I mean, I've always made music with the guitar, and so even when I was a kid, my first introduction to any form of production was I torrented a copy of Cubase. I had no idea how to use it, and I had actually a gaming headset with a microphone, and I would put the microphone in front of my guitar amp and I would record demos, and I was like 14 at the time. I had no idea what I was doing, but I always loved kind of like stacking guitars and creating harmonies with the guitars, just because that was the most intuitive way for me to find melodies and ideas. And I just found that it's a lot more human than clicking and dragging MIDI notes. And so for me personally, especially, when you're working on a vocal, it's just sort of like the most intuitive way to just start playing something and just sort of see where you naturally get taken. And so that's sort of the process I go to stack and build off of guitars. So.
Okay, awesome. No, thanks for sharing that. And curious what also along this journey have been some of the biggest challenges and some of your favorite moments.
Biggest challenge was definitely the transitioning into doing this full time, and the uncertainty and the fear of being fully self-reliant. And I think, having always had like some sort of guaranteed income, that was a big one that kind of scared me. It was like, oh, I'm fully dependent on myself now.
That's real.
But honestly, it's just like, it's moments like this, it's like standing out there looking into a crowd and seeing all these like unfamiliar faces, and you're winning over new people, and you're sharing something that you've created. I still get a little bit nervous before shows, and there's times when I'm like, oh man, I'm scared, I don't know if I want to do this. And then the second I'm up there and I start feeling the energy and hearing music, it's just like, this is exactly where I want to be. So
I love that. Do you like mentally prepare yourself before your sets some way, or kind of?
I should probably get a better ritual. I get a lot, once I'm in a routine and I'm playing more frequently, I get a lot more dialed in, but it's when there's little gaps in between, it's like, okay, do I still remember how to do this? Even like a couple weeks is enough for me to be like, can I still play these parts on guitar? And I'm kind of like, oh, but it all smooths out, so.
No, awesome. No, thank you for that. And also, like, we're going to wrap up soon, but what's something that you're grateful for?
I am grateful for all the people that have supported me up until this point. I have an amazing community of people that reach out to me, message me on a daily basis, and I try to keep in touch with as many of them as I possibly can. Very grateful for my girlfriend, because she tolerates me and all the crap that
I'm sure she more than tolerates you.
yeah, she's very, very supportive. I have an amazing family and a group of friends so I'm very grateful for all of that. So.
I love that. Yeah, it really takes an army for like an artist. We see one DJ up there, but it's really like, a team of people kind of behind the scenes making it happen.
Yeah.
So last question really is, what can we expect for Fairlane in 2023 for you fans out there?
2023, we got a lot of,
Yeah, sure.
We've got a lot of heavy records. We got a lot of melodic records. I'm definitely pushing the boundaries of my sound design and trying a lot of new things that I haven't done before. So very excited about that. And yeah, I think I'm just going to keep exploring this world of rocktronic music, see where it takes me, and keep having fun.
Hell yeah, I love how you said explore, because that kind of has an element of fun to it, right? It's like discovery, not just like, trying to, I have to do one thing.
Yeah.
So I love that. Okay. Thanks for hanging with us, Tyler.
Of course. Thanks for coming in here.
Thank you.
And I'm broken.